What's up, everybody? I'm James Withy, and today we're going to talk about why tattoo artists seem to be so grumpy all the time. Okay, so for anybody watching this video that's been inside of a good amount of tattoo shops, I'm sure that you've experienced a similar type of thing to what I experienced early on in my tattoo journey, where I noticed that tattoo shops kind of have like this intimidating type of vibe inside of them, and the people that work there, tattooers, they tend to have a little bit of like an attitude and can be quite mean to the people that are inquiring about tattoos. So what I mean by that is when I first started walking into tattoo shops, I feel like the vibe that I got from the artists was kind of like a dismissive one, where it really didn't seem like they were interested in like talking to me. It seemed like they were being really short with their words and like extremely direct, to where they really didn't care whether or not what they were saying like landed properly or whether or not it offended me. And yeah, like I said, when I first went into tattoo shops in the beginning, I used to think like, damn, like, is it like everybody that is in the industry is like this? And I mean, the answer to that question is that it's definitely not. There are a lot of tattoo artists out there that are very nice and use their customer service voice or whatever when they're talking to clients that are walking in and asking questions. But I would say the large majority of them are not. And it almost seems as if when you start walking into better tattoo shops where the skill level of the artist is higher on average, that type of phenomenon sort of like becomes amplified. And a lot of them are quite short and quite curt, and honestly kind of mean to the people that are walking in. Now, you know, obviously there's a big difference between being short and being direct and being rude. I've experienced both, and I feel like when I'm talking about the majority of artists, I'm saying that they are very like curt and very direct, although most of them in my experience probably wouldn't be like rude or disrespectful in any way. So after about 9 years in the industry myself of professionally tattooing, I feel like I can answer the question of why tattoo artists are so mean and seem to have so much of a chip on their shoulder from a personal perspective that might not really excuse the way that they're acting, but it might shed some light on it so that anybody watching this video can kind of understand, like, why are we such dickheads? So the first reason I can think of for why tattoo artists are such a-holes is because we deal with a lot of really difficult people in our industry. So I'm like talking about people that are like crackheads, people that are drunk, and just a lot of stupid people in general, which, I mean, I'm sure people that work at McDonald's or people that work at like Macy's or whatever, and you know, just other like customer service or retail jobs or something like that, they deal with the same type of folks. I feel like on average, for some reason in the tattoo industry, like it's just a much larger prevalence or like a larger amount. And that applies to like even tattoo shops that are in nice areas. And I have no idea why, but like even just last week, I had to kick some dude out of my shop, which is in a really nice area in Gilbert, Arizona. And it's because he walked in and he was all like super tweaked out or whatever, and he had like dirty hands with black stuff all over him. And he was asking whether or not he could look at the portfolios and like already touching them while he was doing it, and moving his jaw around like the way tweakers do. And I basically told him, no, you can't look at portfolios because you're a fucking crackhead and you look like you're all high and you need to leave. And you know, I ended up kicking him out. And then one of my other artists basically said, like, that's the same guy that I caught masturbating outside on the back of the shop leaning up against the door last fucking week. And then one of my other artists was like, that's the same guy that just walked in asking me about dick piercings a couple of weeks ago or whatever. So we get weird motherfuckers walking into tattoo shops all the time that are essentially wasting our time and, you know, just encroaching on our personal space and trying to use our bathroom and like shoot up heroin in there and stuff like that. So, you know, not only that, but we get like a lot of drunk people that come in and, you know, they ask a lot of stupid questions, like almost trolling us and treating our industry as if it's a joke and our job as if it's a joke. And, you know, we get a lot of people asking stupid questions that don't really intend to actually get a tattoo. So after so many experiences dealing with people like that, which especially happens like early on in a tattooer's career, because like early on you have to work in these shops that are like usually like in the fucking super hood, and you deal with almost the majority of people you deal with are like that. I feel like tattooers start to develop like this like thick skin and start to just assume that everybody that walks in might be somebody like that, no matter how they look, right? Because sometimes people will walk in and they look like they're all put together, and then after about like 60 seconds of talking to them, you'll realize like, man, this fool's all fucked up right now and he's all drunk or whatever. And then, like I said, it just ends up being a total waste of time. So we have learned to kind of put on like a resting bitch face, so to speak, so that those type of people don't feel like they can just do whatever they want in the shop and like take advantage of us or whatever. And unfortunately, that pretty much means that clients that are legitimate clients sometimes will get a little bit of like collateral damage from that sort of experience that we've had, where, I mean, clients that are really straightforward and like pretty much ask all the right questions and go about the process properly, so to speak, they don't really have that problem. But as soon as somebody starts acting a little bit fucking funny, even if they're fully intending to get a tattoo, tattooers typically will like start to judge them and write them off, so to speak. And right or wrong, that's just something that happens because, like I said, our past experiences are the way they were, or were the way they were. So I guess in that sense, it's almost like asking the question, why are bouncers like outside of nightclubs such dickheads? It's almost the same sort of reason. Like, they deal with a lot of assholes all the time, and I feel like their defense mechanism and how they deal with those assholes starts to like bleed over into how they deal with regular people, and unfortunately sometimes it kind of comes off a little rough around the edges. Okay, so the second set of reasons for why tattoo artists have that sort of attitude is because we get asked like the same sort of questions over and over. And most of our interactions that we have with people don't actually result in somebody getting a tattoo. Like looky-loos, people that are just like stopping in the shop to kind of check things out and like kind of, I don't know, be entertained by the novelty of the situation because they've never had a tattoo and they just think that it's interesting to stop in there or whatever. And we're not really getting paid to talk to any of these people. So I think that's another reason why people kind of perceive tattoo artists maybe as actually being more mean or rude than they actually are, is because tattooers have trained themselves slowly, they've conditioned themselves slowly over the course of many, many interactions to try to shorten up the amount of time that these interactions take as much as possible. So what I mean by that is when people ask us questions about tattoos, we know that most of the time they're not actually going to get a tattoo because they either didn't intend to get one in the first place, or maybe the tattoo is going to be more expensive than they thought that it was, or maybe the person doesn't actually have the money right now or the time right now, and they're kind of like doing preliminary research for later down the road, and it might or might not end up actually resulting in them getting a tattoo from us personally. And like I said, we're not like getting paid like an hourly wage or whatever, so we try to figure out how to make these interactions as efficient as possible. And unfortunately, when it comes to like etiquette and like politeness or whatever, efficient really doesn't go hand in hand with being like nice to people. Because if you're extra nice with people and you allow them to kind of direct the conversation into something that's really lengthy, where they're like telling you their life story and the meaning behind the tattoo that they might get next year or whatever, they just like run into a huge like endless conversation that really doesn't mean anything to us because it's not important to us, you know, what they want to talk about, unless what they want to talk about is actually what they need to do to get the tattoo in terms of like, you know, doing things rather than just saying things, like actionable topics, you know? So people tend to go off on these rants or whatever when they're inquiring about tattoos. And, you know, as much as we try to be polite and try to not to like cut them off or whatever, we try to use the type of terminology and the type of words that will encourage them to speed up the interaction, because we have shit to do. You know, we're drawing, sometimes we're already tattooing another person and we're charging that person hourly, and we don't want to make that person that's already getting tattooed, that's already spending money with us, feel like their time is being wasted. So there's a lot of pressure on us to make that interaction happen as quickly as possible. And like I said, even if a tattooer isn't tattooing somebody else, they're not getting paid to talk to you. So even if they're just chilling out and like, I don't know, updating their social media on their phone or something, sitting on the couch, when they take a break to come and talk to you, you know, if you indicate within the first 30 seconds that maybe you're not actually going to get the tattoo right now, then oftentimes they're going to be looking for a way out of that conversation, because they really don't want to sit there and spend time with you when, you know, their time is valuable to them, just like your time is valuable to you. And just because it's novel for you to come into the shop and have a conversation with a tattooer and it's kind of, I don't know, something different for you or whatever, it's not something different for them. And it's happened to them, you know, hundreds of times throughout that year. And they just want it to be over as quick as possible so that they can get back to handling their own business. So the third reason I can think of for why tattooers tend to have a little bit of a rough around the edges type of demeanor is because we're not trained in customer service typically. And most of us are tattooers because we couldn't make it like in the corporate world where we do have to like use that customer service voice or whatever and, you know, change our octaves and like kiss people's asses or do whatever, you know, like most of us are kind of maverick type personalities where we really didn't fit in with society. And, you know, we couldn't make it with the regular job with like a supervisor cracking a whip on us or whatever all the time and making sure that we smile ear to ear for all the people that are coming through the door. Because to us, oftentimes, like from what I've experienced with tattooers' personalities, shit like that seems inauthentic. And the reason that we got into the industry is because we wanted to be ourselves unapologetically. So because that demographic of people is typically who becomes tattoo artists, I feel like tattooers have those type of, you know, what would be seen from others as attitude problems because they come from that background. And like I said, because we don't have any customer service training. And if we did, we probably didn't really care about it a whole lot and just kind of let it go in one ear and out the other, so to speak. Another reason that I can think of for why tattoo artists act this way is because we kind of come from an industry that is innately or has innately been ostracized by mainstream society for dozens, if not hundreds of years. And if you think about it from that perspective, like we're the type of people that when we started doing this type of shit, everybody told us that it was stupid, that, you know, our dream was unrealistic. A lot of people, even after we started becoming tattooers or whatever, looked down on us because we were involved in this industry. We get tattoos that are visible, people stare at us in public, people judge us. And I feel like a lot of tattooers, which this probably wouldn't include me, I really don't feel too much of this at all, but I feel like in general, a lot of tattooers might be a little bit bitter about having experienced that like throughout their lives and throughout their careers. And maybe even it stretches back like before they started tattooing. Like I said, a lot of us are the outcasts of society where, you know, we weren't the cool kid in high school or whatever. Like we weren't Mr. or Mrs. Popular, and we weren't like constantly praised for our actions our entire lives. So we are like the redheaded stepchildren of the fabric of society, and I feel like a lot of that kind of carries over into people's demeanors as they grow up as adults and kind of hold on to that baggage. Okay, so this next reason is actually a really good one for why I think tattoo artists tend to have that sort of like mean attitude or can be kind of like short with people. And it's because oftentimes clients are being obnoxious and they don't realize it. And this happens quite a bit, like especially with smaller tattoos and like people that don't get tattoos very often. Like people that are heavily tattooed, I don't even know if any of the shit in this video applies to interacting with them, because usually they're almost the same as us as far as like their attitude or whatever. And they tend to be real chill, so we kind of mirror that energy and we're real chill too. But there's a lot of people that don't really get tattoos very often, especially like first timers, where, I don't know, like a really specific example is like when somebody comes in with their entourage, and let's say it's like a husband and wife and then like 3 daughters, and then those 3 daughters, one of them has a boyfriend, and then one of the 3 daughters, one of them has a best friend with them. And how many fucking people is that? It's like 7 people or something. Let's say like 7 people walk into the tattoo shop, and 2 of them are gonna get tattooed, and you know, 2 of the sisters or whatever are gonna get matching infinity symbol tattoos, and one of them is not gonna get a tattoo because she's the one that's scared out of the 3, or she's too young or whatever, she's under 18. And all those people that are in the shop are people that have either never had a tattoo before or had very few, and to them it's like this huge like deal, like in terms of, I don't know, like it's extra exciting for them, and they're like giggling and laughing really loud and like looking at the portfolios and pointing at shit and laughing and being like, why would somebody get that? That's crazy or whatever, because it's a Harry fucking Potter tattoo and they can't imagine getting anything except for, you know, their grandmother's initials or some shit, or like a little Bible quote or something like that. And like the way that they bring their non-tattooed people attitude into the tattoo shop and kind of turn it into this weird like circus carnival type of spectacle or some shit, it makes tattooers get annoyed with them really easily. Because we know that as soon as those people come in, we already know exactly how they're gonna act throughout the entire fucking tattoo. They're going to balk at the price, because they don't realize how much tattoos cost because they really don't get them very often. They're going to argue with us over and over about the positioning of the tattoo and try to get us to make it as small as possible because they don't actually even like tattoos that much and they just want to get one to say that they had one. So can we make it like as small as possible to where it's almost not even a fucking tattoo? And then they're going to ask for the cross that they get on their wrist or whatever to face them so that they can see it, but really it's all upside down and shit, so they got to show it to people that way from now on. Then they're going to go ahead and pile all 7 people, or try to pile all 7 people, into the area where the tattoo is actually happening. The person that's going to get the tattoo is going to lay down. Everybody around is going to pull their phones out and film it, and the person getting the tattoo is going to scream and move around extra because they want to satisfy the expectations of all the people filming and watching that they're doing some crazy thing or whatever. So they're going to sit like shit. They're not going to listen during the aftercare discussion. They're going to heal like shit, and then in 2 months they're going to ask for a touch-up that we have to pay for supplies for because they fucked up the heel in the first place, and then we're gonna have to repeat the entire experience when they come and get their touch-up. And we know that's how the entire fucking interaction is gonna go. So it makes us kind of dread that situation when those people walk in. Like, even if we're making money, actually, especially if we're making money, like if we're pretty busy at the time, like not really needing the business a whole lot, seeing those people come in and then having to deal with them and basically babysit an entire entourage full of people and hold their hands through that experience can be quite frustrating for us because we've done it so many times, and because for us it's just a regular fucking day, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just sitting here with my tattoo machine, just doing something that I'm used to doing all the time, and it really doesn't need to be that big of a deal or that difficult of an experience for something that's only gonna make me $100 when I can just tattoo the chill client that, you know, has done this a million times or whatever, and they're gonna come in and get a full day session and pay me $1,000 or $1,200 or something like that. And you know, that's actually one of the reasons why I stopped doing small tattoos like that. And it makes it so that I don't really have to have those interactions and feel frustrated in that way. But not all tattooers are able to do that, so that's why a lot of them end up trying to control the situation, like I said, by being short and being more direct and more commanding in the tattoo situation, where they're basically telling the person, all right, now sit down, all right, go ahead and put your arm there, and then they just finish as fast as possible, put their head down, don't talk a whole lot, and they just try to get them out of the shop so that they don't have to feel uncomfortable anymore. I feel like I just went on a big ass rant with like a really specific situation there, but I also feel like explaining that situation might kind of paint a picture of the type of thing that we deal with over and over and over, and the reason why tattooers might end up kind of developing a little bit of a spiky shell, so to speak. So that kind of brings me to my last point. A little bit of what I just talked about and ranted about right there is supply and demand. And I feel like the more booked a tattoo artist gets, and the more busy they get, and the more selective they can be, the more short and curt they're gonna be with their interactions. Because like I said, they don't want to deal with all those small tattoos with the difficult clients or whatever anymore, and they don't have to anymore. So when that person comes in for an inquiry and says, hey, can I go ahead and get a little heart outline or whatever on my wrist, a lot of times the person that's real booked out is going to be real short with them, and they're just going to be like, I don't do tattoos like that anymore. And they might try to redirect them to another artist that's in the shop, or if nobody in the shop does tattoos like that, they might try to redirect them to another shop. But redirecting them to another shop isn't really their responsibility. Their only responsibility is to tell you that they aren't going to do that tattoo and don't want to do that tattoo. And oftentimes their word choice can seem rude to people because it's so efficient and so short. And like I said, they're not really getting paid to talk to that person, so they just try to make the interaction as short as possible so that they can get back to doing whatever they're doing. And like I said, I feel like that happens even more with people that are busier and can kind of be more selective with their tattoos. Unfortunately, it does. It really sucks for the client because I know the client can't help it, and I know the client doesn't mean to be the way they are that annoys tattoo artists or whatever. And I mean, fucking if tattooers are annoyed by it and shit, then just suck it up. It's not really that big of a deal. But I'm just explaining why this stuff happens or whatever, right? But yeah, if an artist is less busy, and let's say they don't have the choice in terms of turning down those type of small tattoos, or let's say they're really hungry and they got like rent to pay or whatever at the beginning of the month, and they need that extra couple $100, then fuck yeah, you come in and they're gonna be extra accommodating, and they're gonna kiss your ass, and they're gonna change their voice, all them different octaves or whatever, and they're really gonna try to make sure that A, you get the tattoo from them, B, you're satisfied with your experience, and C, you refer all your friends to them so that they can get even more money so that they can pay even more bills. So I feel like the tattooers that are less busy, they're definitely going to have a better attitude because of necessity, because they have to turn on that customer service demeanor. But the ones that are more busy typically don't have to do that. And unfortunately, like I said, they kind of, I don't know if they abuse it. Some of them fucking definitely do. Like, I've met some dickhead tattoo artists where it's like, whoa, dude, like, you don't have to have an ego like that. I mean, fuck, maybe some people have said that about me, but I try to check myself on it and try to ask myself the question of whether or not I'm just being direct with people and being rude with people. And I feel like most of the time I do a pretty good job. And I think, if you were to look at the reviews or whatever on my shop, like, it would reflect that, you know what I mean? That we're not dickheads at my shop, but certainly we tend to be a little bit more direct because we are super busy. And yeah, hopefully that kind of explains in a nutshell why tattooers act the way they act. So hopefully this sheds some light on that situation in terms of like you kind of having that question mark as the client, like, why did I just walk out of there feeling like, they were rude to me or whatever. Try to ask yourself the question next time, were they rude or were they just really direct about giving you information in the most efficient, shorthanded way possible? But yeah, if you guys found this video insightful, please go ahead and throw a like on it. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people giving me shit for making this video, and they're going to call me a total fucking dickhead because of some of the stuff that I described. For you guys, if you want to leave the dislike, go ahead, and I probably won't give a fuck. But if you guys have any other additional insight on why tattooers might act that way, especially if you are a tattooer, then go ahead and leave it in the comments. And in any case, I appreciate you watching. Thanks and have a nice day. So actually, there is one more important thing that I want to mention, and that is that this video right here is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community that has like thousands of different classes for creators that are looking to explore new skills or maybe like beef up their knowledge in a specific creative discipline. They have a really good variety of classes on there that I think are going to be beneficial to not only some of my viewers out there that might want to learn new skills, but also to myself, because I feel like a lot of the stuff they offer is directly related to the creative stuff that I do. So like examples of that might be like, I don't know, film, illustration, fine art, like they teach you how to draw on there, teach you how to paint on there. And one of the classes that I checked out while I was browsing around their site that I thought would be really beneficial for people that are looking to learn how to tattoo, or maybe even people that already tattoo, was a class that was called Start Drawing, Techniques for Pencil Portraits by a person named Gabrielle Bricky. So one of the things that I really loved about this class was how comprehensive it was. She teaches you like what materials you're gonna need to start drawing, how to actually apply those materials, like the techniques that she uses to draw portraits, and also a lot of like art concepts that are necessary to be a great portrait artist, such as like anatomy. Like, I don't know, there was one part on there where she was talking about like how to draw the mouth and like what the Cupid's bow is, and being able to like recognize anatomical landmarks like that is really important if you want to get good at drawing faces. So yeah, Skillshare overall is a really great learning tool. There aren't any ads on it. They're always adding new classes to kind of like refresh and update their database and the wealth of information that's on there. And also it's pretty cheap. Like, it's only like $10 a month for an annual subscription. If anybody out there is interested in using Skillshare, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link in my description of this video, and the first 1,000 subscribers that click on that link are going to get a free trial of premium membership. But yeah, go ahead and check that out. I think it's going to be really beneficial to a large amount of viewers that I have, because I know a lot of tattooers watch my channel, and I know a lot of people that are aspiring tattooers watch my channel as well. So that could be a really great way to improve your skill set in terms of being a creative professional, or even just somebody that wants to pick up a new hobby and learn something new. So hopefully you guys enjoy using it. Have a nice day.